The Blackpink drop happened this morning. Now, was it an amazing success or an epic failure? I've heard a bit of both. Today, we'll share our thoughts as we talk about everything VeVe and Ecomi in today's episode of OMI is my homie. Now, today, Doctor of Stuff is still traveling all over Germany. So if you're in Germany, reach out to him. Maybe he had a chance to visit you. Randy will be joining us as my co-host with special guest Bill Gardner today. Now, make it rain on that like button if you haven't already, and welcome Randy and Bill Gardner to the stage.
Hey.
What's going on, gentlemen? Now, who participated in the Blackpink drop this morning? Yes. Oh, we lost your audio there, Randy.
Oh, cheers, mates. And yes, I did. I went for the drop this morning. I didn't get on the wait list for the ultra rare. I bid 55,000. They didn't accept me. I think it was between like 56 and 59.
Yeah.
And then for the rare, I put on like 10,000, figuring, okay, if the ultra rare is going to sell out, might as well at least get the rare. So I got the rare on the drop, and then I bought the ultra rare in the secondary market.
Nice. I waited till after the drop. I did pick up some of the Viper cards, and then I picked up a couple of those. They're going for dirt cheap. Yeah. And then I got an ultra rare, and I'll probably just wait to see if the price settles even more before I pick up the other three.
Yeah, I went for the drop, and I didn't get either one. I was so tied up at work that I just figured I'd just grab them later. I haven't had a chance to yet, but I saw the prices falling, so I don't know. There's going to be they're dropping so many of them. I'm not sure what I want to get yet. We'll see.
I know that's the hard thing. They're going to be dropping so many, and at the price point, it's like you exhaust a lot of people's funds in this kind of bear market that we're still in, where collectibles aren't really going up yet.
Yeah.
So I've heard some people talking about how it was an epic failure. No. It's still like early bull market where the momentum hasn't hit. If you look at when like the Todd McFarlane drop happened of Batman, was that an epic failure? It was still kind of a early bull market. Nothing much was happening, right? Because it was available on the marketplace for like 7 or 8 months. So was Todd McFarlane an epic failure? I don't think so. I just think you got to recognize where the market's at, and you look for clues that kind of tell you where it's at. And I was curious to see what would happen on this drop, because it did reach a fan base that this is the kind of thing that can get them interested in a collector's app if they hadn't been previously interested in it. So it did reach a new fan base, and it seems like it brought over some new people, but it didn't single-handedly take digital collectibles to the forefront of the whole world, saying we all need digital collectibles. And if that was your expectation, well, then it would feel like this was a failure, but probably that expectation was a threshold that couldn't have been reached no matter what.
Yeah. Looking back in time, and you go and you see, even before the app launched, where people were in the Telegram, people had expectations, people bought the token, and there's like, oh, is there really going to be an app? Are these guys just taking us along for a ride, not knowing what it would become? And then the app came out. And then people were like, oh, hey, there's actually a working product, and there's Batman. And then, like you said, there wasn't really much movement for several months, and the token didn't move. And then when you eventually had Marvel come in, people were like, okay, what comics? This is interesting. How are you going to read them? How's that going to work? Marvel comics, 60,000 editions, and they're going for like $2, and they did what, like a 300x, at the height. So I think that at some point you're going to have maybe not the same thing happen here. I don't think anyone's going to take a common of one of these for $40 and it'll do a 300x, but could it do like a 4x? Maybe. I think as more of those people come in, I mean, when you have the most popular girl band in the world all share, every single member going and sharing VeVe's video on their stories, I'd consider this, am I the Hulk in Avengers Endgame? Because I see this as an absolute win.
Yeah.
It is reaching a new audience, and sometimes it just takes the culmination. Like when I found VeVe in March of 2021, I was like, this is a really big deal. Just because people haven't realized it yet, I was like, when the market catches on to this. It's going to do really well. And the market didn't catch on to it till, well, literally in April. They're like, oh my gosh. And all the Todd McFarlane sold out. But I didn't know when it was going to happen. When I found it in early March, I bought mints like 1,400, is where it was out of 10,000. And then in the next month, the whole rest of them sold. But they were selling really slow for another 3 or 4 weeks. And then all of a sudden they sold out really fast. So sometimes people like blame VeVe, like, oh, you could have done more. And like everyone would have woken up to how cool these are. And that's not really true. They did a great job. In fact, they got first appearance in digital collectibles with one of the biggest girl bands in the whole world. And they got them to sign with them over Binance. So like they did hit a home run here, just because everyone doesn't yet recognize it. That's okay. That's also like not realizing that sometimes you just got to wait for the timing to then come around. Because Todd McFarlane Batman was like 80 gems for a long time, like 6 months on the market. And you could have bought it any time in that. And then later it was sellable for 16,000 gems. So like sometimes you just got to wait for the timing to be right. And I do think this Blackpink drop is a big deal. Only the ultra rare sold out right away. I don't even know if the other ones have sold out yet.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I don't know Blackpink, and you see my fandom. I'm into a certain genre, and then I think we're starting to come into. We're going to start to collect what we like. I find myself looking for certain things on the app that is not it's not a girl band typically. Now, the reason I would buy it is to flip it later on. But for me right now, I'm trying to stack things that I'm really into. And for instance, I just picked up FA Nick Fury number 44 yesterday.
Nice.
2 days ago. And why that's huge is I own the 42, the 43, the 44, the 45, the 46, and the 47. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get the 41, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get the 48 and 49. I don't know. It's just something I'm doing, and it doesn't seem like a big play, but when you're buying them, finding the deal and finding the person that wants to let it go at different times is not as easy as it sounds, so.
It's completely true. And sometimes they then ask like some unreasonable price. And it's like, no, sorry. Just keep
it. So I've reached out to, I'm considering reaching out to the person that owns the 41 and see if they want to, let me buy it. But as of yet, they're not responding, let's say.
Shout out to an OG here. Lashal says, I've been holding OMI since 2020. Oh, man. You've had some epic rides. 2020, you're way up on your position since 2020. It was a little bit higher in 2021, like 25x higher than now, or 20x higher from now. But what has gone down will go up. That's awesome. Someone's requesting we burn some OMI on the stream tonight. Well, okay. I feel like I already burned my portion of it. Let's go. OMI about to catch fire. How do we entice the members of this roundtable to burn some live on stream tonight? So I did buy some OMI in 2018. And, the person running the pooled round asked me to send him my GoChain wallet, and I was on vacation. So I created another GoChain wallet, not my main one, and gave him that wallet address. What happened to that wallet? I have no idea. So essentially there's 9 million OMI out there floating around that no one has access to, including me. So I feel like I burned my 9 million. I'm good on OMI burns.
What Turtle Golf is referencing is one of the giveaways that the Gold Dragon Club does, where if you have a Gold Dragon, you have an entry into I think like a 7-day stay at a resort in Orlando. But if you burn, I think like $50 worth of OMI, you get like an additional X amount of entries, like 5 or 10 more entries. And you can do that as many times as you want. Like if you get more entries, if you have 2 gold dragons, you have more entries, you have whatever. So I think that's what he's saying. I think a couple people have burned that already.
Nice. We got a super chat in from Raythax. VeVe NFTs, Ecomi, Earth2, and .eth domains for the win. Nice.
Earth2, let's go.
We should get Raythax on here one day. He made a ton of money in Axie Infinity, like you did. He did a lot of those. I don't know if he bought a ton of the land, but he did a bunch of the scholarships with like people in like the Philippines or
some teams. Yeah.
He's got the ETH domain names for like everything under the sun. Made a bunch of money in Earth2. He still has a bunch of Essence, crafted a bunch of jewels, and then he's got a bunch of VeVe and OMI stuff as well. He never misses. It's like he's on fire in NBA hang time. He's just anywhere.
And he's got his own Earth2 Megacity too. That's everyone should buy a plot there just to hang out.
He also has a number one of my one of my first NFTs on the blockchain, which unfortunately is on wax. If they were Earth2's official NFTs, they bear the official Earth2 logo, but they are of me. But yeah, so I gave that to him for something. I forget what it was, but yeah, good times.
VeVe Fam Bam says Bill needs to stop showing off.
Fam Bam, I love you so much. Got to get her on too.
I also I picked up another Ecomi Secret Rare logo. Well, last week, I don't know if people heard, but I got 2 of them now. So I did do a deal with Mr. Rolex for it. Nice. I got the matching 224 VeVe gold and silver logo and the Ecomi silver logo. So
nice.
Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Rolex for making that deal happen, and Sanjay too. Sanjay helped me get that as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's such a stand-up guy.
I have to get the Mr. MC1 says, "Hey Randy, when are you getting your Ecomi hat, brother?" I was like, "Well, I need to find. I can't just get it for. I have like number 316, which is really cool for like Stone Cold Steve Austin or something like that. But I want the number 41. So I don't want to have the hat for one that I'm gonna sell. I'll get that number 41 at some point. I'll keep you all posted.
You have to fly to California and pick it up.
I am not sent on my mint numbers. For me, it's like meh. I'm like, if I can get like for the VeVe gold and silver logo, if I can get sub 200, I'd be like, cool. If not, On my Ecomi logos, I don't even remember what my mint numbers are. I got one normally. I bought another one off the market.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with whatever they are. It would be nice if I'd gotten a good mint number off the drop, but yeah, I haven't been doing the mint number game very much. I know a lot of people have been.
I mean, that's the only ones that
you were right on your analysis on that, Randy, last week, that it will become a big deal, especially for certain ones, and that they might out appreciate generally.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what you have as far as mint numbers. Like if there's 300 of something, or if there's 28,000 of something, there's only going to be 59 of those sub 100s that are available. For most of them, sometimes now they have it where it's 79 because they do number 21 through 99 instead of 41 sometimes. But they're either way, it's still very scarce. It's still very limited.
Yeah. Abe says, what does better in bull runs, like a common Vader or ultra rare Vader? That's a question I actually think about a lot. One of the challenges and I don't fully know the answer. I'm leaning towards common Vader. The challenge with ultra rare Vader is if you only have enough money to buy one versus say buying a whole slew of commons, it's hard to take profits when you just have one because you can either sell it or not sell it. Whereas if you have a whole slew of commons, you can take profits at tiers along the way and still have some. And at the end of the day, still have one that you're holding.
Yeah. There's the last time, percentage-wise, the commons, uncommons, rares, they severely outperform the ultra rares and secret rares, even though the ultra rares and secret rares are often animated. It just percentage-wise, it's a lot easier to do a 10x when something's $30 as opposed to when something's $400. Not that those 10x's didn't happen, but just, the commons, they went pretty crazy.
Nice. The Daily FX wants to know, how do I get in on an interview one day? Well, I don't yet know you. So Randy may know you, but
maybe. I get this thing every now and then where people be like, hey, it's me. Remember from this time? I was like, yeah, absolutely. What's up? And I have just no idea.
Yeah.
There a lot of times happens at cons, but they're send me a DM and we'll do a chat. And if we think it's a good fit, then we'll get that bread. Yeah. I mean, we won't always interview only public figures. It'll just be some people that are in the background that are looking to go in and be like, hey, I mean, that's how Jordan got his start. He just messaged me randomly. He's like, hey, Randy, you should interview me. I was like, oh, I like, and then we got to know each other. And it's like, oh, okay, you got some OMI there from Australia. Okay, you like Tesla? You're like, okay, yeah, let's go. So
some commonalities. Oh, you have like 400 million OMI, or I forget what number he bought when he sold his company. But it's like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Jordan's great.
And Bill got in through sheer force of will. Bill got in through. You like didn't subscribe for like the longest time. You just always kept commenting and super chatting.
I forced myself upon him.
I feel like I've known Bill for like 2 years, even though I don't know that that's the actual correct amount. But Bill has always been commenting on my videos for forever, and so after a while, you just like know someone.
Yeah. I've been trying to build up the community. I'm just trying to be there. I think it's important, just to pop in and talk with everyone, because it seems like almost everyone or a lot of people are in a lot of the different projects, and you just got to communicate with them.
You're always positive with people too. I really like that. There's something to be said for people like that when their outlook, that they're always lifting up other people and they're making them feel better about themselves. That's an attribute that I love seeing in other people, and that's one of the things Bill always did. Like, he brought a positive, like, cool, fun vibe. And sometimes we'd talk trash over something stupid somebody said, but it was more about the dumb comment rather than a dumb person. And so I always appreciated Bill's positivity, and it makes a big difference. I like people like that. Like VeVe Fan Bam's another example of that. She's always lifting people up. And, that has value to me. It has value to other people too.
I think I'm the only one left to still communicating with the fudders too. Just driving them crazy. And there's, I'm like, man, you guys are really into VeVe. Just stop talking about it. You're obsessed.
Yeah, they are obsessed, right? It's like the ex-girlfriend that won't stop stalking you. Yeah. Right. It's like, stop showing up at my work. It's not going to happen.
We've all been there. It happens.
Yeah, they can leave VeVe, but they can't leave VeVe alone. Yeah.
That's right.
I'm glad that they started that thing last week. We're like, hey, no attacking anyone else, or else we'll block you. I'm glad that they did that, because the last thing you want to see is like a new person, like back like in boxing gyms in New York, or at least gyms that had boxing stuff in there. They would have a issue getting women in, because when you have a boxing ring like right in the middle of like the foyer where you just come in to sign in, and people are just getting punched in the face and blood's going everywhere. I'm like, oh, I can't be here.
Yeah.
No. If you have new people coming in and all they see is like massive negativity or sexism or racism or whatever, it's not a good look. So I'm glad VeVe's starting to block those people.
Yeah. It does allow you more fruitful conversations, because I don't mind taking like real concerns and addressing them. But some people, it's not real concerns. They've emotionally bought into something. And so like, they're not looking for answers. They're looking for justifications for the emotional decision they've already made. Wow, Raythax sending a super sticker. Wow, thanks, brother.
My man. Well, like I said, we'll get you on. Raythax is a good egg. We love him. Bill might have. I don't know who knows me longer, Raythax or Bill. One of the two. They both in the Earth 2 days. But on the the Daily VeVe half messaged me over on the Instagram. So now is that the person who just asked to get on the stream? Was that him?
Let me find it. He had it probably is, because
that makes sense. Right, we'll get that bread. So in other news, we had, I guess this will be crypto at large, and obviously OMI won't be included in this, at least right now. But we had the Trump campaign go and say, hey, they're now accepting crypto for donations. So they had Kahn the other day kind of in support of crypto. Now saying we're taking crypto in donations. Obviously, I don't think OMI is going to be one that's going to be accepted, at least not yet. But they have ETH, Tether, Solana, USDC, Bitcoin, XRP, Shiba Inu, Doge, and AVAX. So they got a couple of good things on there.
Where's Pepe?
I don't know. He better be careful. The state of New York is going to take him to court over that, probably.
Right? Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Crypto is only used for money laundering and all kinds of nefarious activities. So if you're funding your campaign through it, you must be a bad person.
Yeah.
So you know how Coinbase back in the day, if you were to get a Coinbase listing, automatically it would just make you pump. Like automatically, everyone would be like, "Oh, let's go." I wonder what the new thing for crypto would be like. What's the catalyst to make it pump? Wouldn't that be funny if like, oh, once Trump announces he's taking your coin as campaign donations, then it goes to the moon.
Then it may, right? It may. That would be funny. Kind of like the big thing today, Elon Musk tweeting about it would be a huge deal. He's got probably more social capital than just about any person on the planet for some kind of financial company.
And he's been kind of ultra quiet about crypto lately too. You think it's because he's like just trying to figure out what he wants to use on X?
Because he's doing his thing with X, right? Yeah. So he's strategic in the stuff that he's saying. But I think they're getting X all set up, and he probably doesn't want to gum up anything with regulators. So that's probably why he's been quiet on it.
So I will say, Rain, you and Paul convinced me I need to take profits on my Pepe. So I think I'm going to sell around half and put it into OMI. I just haven't done it because I've been super busy. But the other half, I'm going to just let it ride.
Yeah.
To the moon.
Yeah, you're way up in your position. And it's like, meme coins are hard because like some people found out with that one that Jordan loves. Early investor on, like all of a sudden, like somebody dumped a crap ton and it just dumped like crazy. And it's like, it's a game of musical chairs and there's not necessarily a long-term value. I mean, Pepe's probably made it out of the stratosphere. So it's like, it will probably stay around multiple market cycles. Yeah. But most of the other meme coins will never make it out of the stratosphere and they'll crash back down to earth and never to be heard from again. And so like meme coins are a hard thing to do, especially when you're not investing in a big one. And even then it's like all of a sudden people might start dumping and you might be at work one day and like over 8 hours, it just dumps to below what you bought at. So taking profits while you're ahead, never a bad idea in crypto, especially on something as volatile as meme coins.
Absolutely, yeah.
So on the going opposite of meme coins and going to maybe not big business, but business in general, it's been a while since we heard anything about KYB. And if we get to know your business, let's say we get that in the next 6 to 12 months, what does that do for VeVe? What does that do for the token? Is that something that only affects the collectibles? Because it's obviously an easy sell to your investors to get the first appearance of Mickey Mouse on the blockchain or Spider-Man, but a token that's a crypto that, no one's really heard of just yet, that might be a harder sell. Or does it not matter and everything will just pump?
Yeah, I think we're kind of already there, aren't we? I mean, just partially they're hidden, but there are definitely some businesses in there that have been buying up literally everything. If you look at Peugeot, how do you ever say it? Peugeot man. Also before him, there was the other guy that turned into a jerk, but he was buying stuff for like 20 different people. And I forget his name, but he was up on the top of the list too. But when we see that KYB, I think we'll see a flood of companies rolling in. And there's a ton of stuff to buy up, and everything that people thought was so cheap won't be cheap anymore.
One of the things that's interesting about bear markets is like you're actually able to make like really good, reasonable decisions because most everything is cheap when it's out of the narrative. So a lot of VeVe collectibles are relatively cheap. I don't know that if the know your business thing will make a big deal because essentially they can just buy it under the person's name for now. So I don't know when that gets unlocked, if that will change things. And maybe it will. I just am unaware of how it will impact things. And I can't say I have an opinion on that. I do agree that overall still things are cheap. I wish they had gotten cheaper. Normally in a bear market, things would have gotten even cheaper than this. One of the challenges is VeVe actually has a pretty vibrant community for like a bear market. Why do you think the competition is always trying to cut in? They're paying people who like were VeVe influencers to try to talk about their projects. If there wasn't such a strong VeVe community, I mean, the Todd McFarlane would have went down to like $100, and like I wouldn't have complained about that. I would have bought a whole slew of them at $100. I would have like dropped $20,000 into Todd McFarlane Batmans and a whole bunch of that, the whole early series of Batmans. So it's like some people, like, it feels like they're really cheap. It could have gotten a lot cheaper had there not been actually such a vibrant VeVe community. Now, are they still cheap compared to what I think they're going to be? Yeah, a lot of them. It's hard to tell exactly what's going to pump and by how much. But as this idea of digital collectibles goes big, we're still in the very early days. And what I love about digital collectibles is it has worldwide reach the way comic books never really did, the way baseball cards never really did, because you had to worry about shipping concerns, making it through customs. Are you sending them a legit card? Who's it graded by? All these other physical logistic things that were hard to solve. And so mostly like baseball cards were collected in the US, Canada, and a little bit Europe. But Europe, it was so minuscule. This idea with digital collectibles, you'll have a global marketplace, and you'll have, I think, billionaires with billionaire money throwing around things for social flexes in the digital collectibles marketplace, kind of like they do with exotic cars, but now with digital collectibles, and it will drive certain things through the roof. It's hard to tell what those certain things are going to be. We're just making guesses here, and I'm trying to make guesses. What is it that they're really going to want? And then the more things I'm right on, boy, I make a lot of money on those, and it's kind of fun for me to make those guesses.
Yeah.
Preach. Yeah, hopefully other people. Yeah, Raythax, tell them, take those profits. Yeah, it'd probably behoove you to go. I mean, you already made up your mind, so we're not gonna, beat a dead horse there.
I just got to hold a little bit of Pepe just for the funny part of it, and it just makes fun of, certain politicians just that much more, and I love it.
I remember Pepe.
Pepe.
One of the campaigns back in like 2016, they called like Pepe like a racist frog.
Yes,
and they didn't mention it, but so they're like, oh, and this racist frog, and then someone in the crowd goes, Pepe.
Yeah, yeah. It just became that its own like prodigy. It just became a thing.
That's funny. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
it drove Clinton nuts. Yeah, absolutely.
Because they would 4chan. Rain, you ever go on 4chan?
No.
It is. People think like crypto's wild, wild west, and officially, obviously, yeah, there are things that shouldn't be said. But sometimes those things are so funny. They take things that should not be joked about. Definitely not in public, but just in the corner of your own home or the corner of, with the boys or whatever. These things are hysterical. And the people anyone that says, oh, that's not funny, they just dig into them deeper. So they started making these like memes of it was like either like the kill list or other things that certain people have been like accused of. So then that's why, Clinton got a little butthurt on that. Yeah. And then, so of course they're going to go into it deeper, but they have this thing where in I think it was 20, it might've been 2016. Shia LaBeouf put up like a flag that said like, he will not divide us. And then like they took it down, and then he goes into like the middle of nowhere. It is just a field in middle America where there's nothing but sky. There's no landmarks around it, nothing but grass and trees. And based on like the patterns of the stars, these guys said like, okay, it's got to be in this quadrant in this area. Yeah. And then they found a plane flying over, and they looked at the flights, and literally within like 36 hours, they found it.
The internet trolls found it. Yes.
It was the most impressive thing I've ever seen.
Yes.
And then also in 2016, they had this thing called weaponized autism, where they literally took down an Al-Qaeda training camp. It was, yeah, they make a long story short, I want this whole thing to be about this, but we got an email saying like, hey, just be advised, new like ISIS training video, whatever. And like, okay, cool. And the video was absolute trash. There was no quality production at all. And then on a 4chan thread, someone's like, hey, there's like 3 like oil towers in the background, or like cell phone towers, whatever they were. And so I was like, I think I know where this is. So like I tell my captain about it, like, hey, I think somebody found out where this is. And they're like, do you have an exact location? I was like, where's this from? I was like, and I told her where it was from. And she's like, I can't bring this to like my commander, like saying like, oh yeah, these nerds on 4chan, they think they found it.
They found it.
So then they went on the Russian side, and some Russian journalist picked it up, and like 16 hours later, they bombed the heck out of that place. And it was so wild. So they're a wild bunch.
So what's funny about the internet sleuths, right, is like the access to information by general people working together to solve things is absolutely incredible. It's like some people, who was it in like 2020, they were calling in 2021, like crypto people are like murder hornets, because it's like if you say something, you come out against crypto in certain ways, and you have skeletons in your closet, like they will find them. Like if for some reason you piss off enough of the crypto people, they will use like their online detective skills to find all those skeletons in your closet.
Yeah. Like, I mean, they were kind of doing that with VeVe a little bit, like trying to find anything they could. Yeah. Once they were upset with them, they're putting up so much misinformation and information out of context. Like you couldn't decipher it, but they would find a way to turn it bad, you know?
Isn't it funny? Well, like a lot of people here haven't been through like a bear market leading into the bull market. A lot of people came in 2021 or 2022 or 2023. For context, the people that were around, especially if you were deeply around in 2020 and 2019, you know what bear markets are like, and you realize just how normal this is. But most of the people that have turned totally negative, they were all new in 2021 or 2022, and they bought high and it's gone lower. And really, they're just like an angry ex-girlfriend that like mad at you because you didn't perform the way they would. Otherwise, they would have been happy, essentially. And so there's like nothing you can say to please them, because really what they're just mad at, and they've already sold out. So if OMI goes up high from here, they're still just going to be pissed. Like there's nothing you can do to make them feel better, because they're just mad, disappointed, and need somebody to listen to them complain, which I'm just tired of listening to them complain personally. And all that it takes is like patience to do well in this. Like these patterns, we have this 4-year market cycle that every 4 years crypto goes bananas. We're not quite there yet. It's coming. And when it happens, OMI and a whole bunch of other things are going to go crazy. And then it will be time to sell. Until then, like anyone selling now is like selling the bottom, and okay, cool. You get to make your choices. But why would you sell now when this 4-year cycle is anywhere between 3 to 12, maybe worst case scenario, 18 months away? Why not just wait it out? It's 18 months.
And it's maturity too. You know, it's maturity. They're like they're 3-year-olds in their reactions. And I look at it just like it's gold or silver in my safe. You know, it's just there. I look at crypto the same way. It's only worth what I sell it for at the time. If I sell silver while it's down, then I'm taking a loss. Why would I do that? I want to sell silver when it's up, but that takes years. So does crypto.
Yeah, and they just like, they're like, okay, I get that I'm not going to be a millionaire overnight, but I'm not a millionaire overnight, and I'm out. I'm so mad. OBL joining in. What's up, OBL? Good to see you.
What's going
on? They're really just they don't have the patience. Like, I guess it really helped me coming from a real estate investment background where the cycles are like 17 to 21 years, and they take forever from top to top. So if you get in at the bottom, the top might be 7 to 12 years away if you get in at the bottom, but if you're at a top before the next top happens, it might be 17 to 24 years later. In crypto, it's just 4. Now, it seems like a lot because we check prices every day. You check your portfolio value, and watching it go up and down so much does so much emotional wear and tear on you. It feels like longer than 4 years, but it's only 4 years, and it's not even quite 4 years. You just have to wait for that to happen. And it's like, there's some people that get in their mind, oh my gosh, if VeVe did this, the price would be so much higher. And oh, if they had delivered on this, the price would be so much higher. It's like those people have never run massive companies and realized the amount of decisions that they're having to making and how they have to focus their resources on certain things, and they have to do them sequentially. And sometimes your employee lets you down and fails on a certain thing, programs it in a sucky way. You have to hire someone else to do it. And all the logistical problems that why like every software company since the beginning of time doesn't hit their deadlines, because these things come up and they just hold them to this unrealistic standard. And even if they had done all those things, how much higher would OMI's price be? Maybe some, maybe a little bit. And just maybe, because we're still like haven't hit where people are thinking, oh, digital collectibles are the future. So let me buy the token associated with the largest, like biggest brand names, digital collectibles company.
Yeah.
Because that's coming. And when that happens, OMI's token really runs.
Yeah, and right when they would have sold it. That always happens.
That always happens.
Yep.
It's the night is darkest just before the dawn. Yep. And for a lot of people saying like, oh, this was it, this was their shot, and they blew their shot. Like, be advised, guys. It's not just like, I could make a really dirty reference, but I'm not going to. It's not like, hey, they shot their load and that's it. Like David said on Spaces before, like he's saving some of his MCP points for an even bigger IP launch next month. What's that going to be? We have no idea. I can't really figure out what's going to be bigger than Blackpink. It would be in like the anime, like manga thing, I would guess. And I'm guessing this might be their run to be like, okay, we're bringing all the Asians on board. Get out some manga, some anime, maybe some One Piece, My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon maybe at some point. I mean, nobody knew about this. Nobody knew about Blackpink. So, and if there's no rumors, then you know that nobody knows. When there's rumors, it's like, okay, maybe somebody's leaking something. But I'm very curious what that's going to be.
Yeah, that's why I've been buying the Ultimate X-Men one with what's the artist? Peach Momoko. I really love that one. So, they remade it in anime, and I'm like, well, instead of buying Blackpink, I could buy a ton of these commons that I really enjoy. So I've just been, every time a few of them drop, just pick up a few here and there, and it's just what I want to get. I mean, for when all the anime lovers come in, that's what they're going to want to buy is anime, So I just look at different angles. You don't always want to buy the brand new shiny thing. Look at what people are missing.
Yeah, I almost never buy the brand new shiny thing. I did get like the ultra rare today just off the market, and I bought the other card just to see where it goes. But usually, like, I like going back and buying like Darth Vader comments. I've been buying those every once in a while. I just throw more money in there. The Boba Fett comments. Why? Because those two heroes generally outperform for the Star Wars collection, like Boba Fett and Darth Vader, like for toys and for other things. So Boba Fett and Darth Vader, buy those. What other things? It's like just sometimes some occasional things. I've been trying to increase my master collector points, but part of me, the investor side, is like, stop doing that. The other part of me, the collector side, like, no, keep doing it. I don't know. I'm kind of torn because I think about 80% of me is the investor side. 20% of me is like the collector side. But then, like, I'm right on the threshold of master collector. I used to be in it, but when they raised that bar, I got kicked out. So part of me is like, dang it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm about 2,350 points a day or something like that. So I got booted out a few months ago, I think, but I was really disappointed in not getting the child. I was really. We didn't get Yoda, and then we didn't get Grogu, and I was like, why?
I mean, we still probably will. It'll just take some time.
Yeah, it would have been nice to get the FA, but whatever.
Yeah. Did you get one on Cryptoys today?
I'm not on Cryptoys.
Okay, me neither. Yeah.
I just can't handle that many platforms. I'm in so many freaking chat rooms. I'd probably freaking blow my brains out if I'm in any more. You know,
really on that.
You can only,
Same.
yeah, I mean, you can only follow so much and still get your job done every day. I'm on like 6 different job sites running multiple crews, and it's just dealing with tenants. You know, I'm in real estate too, so I'm dealing with that. Right before I came on, I was dealing with a meeting with a subcontractor and trying to help him build his business. And, you know, there's only so many hours in a day, you know?
Yeah. There's, I like the Ghostbusters poster in the background. I just saw that.
Yes. I got it from the theater.
Yeah, it's great.
$10.
One of the other things David had mentioned today, which I don't know if he was just making a joke out of it because everyone wants VeVe to launch a Netflix documentary, but he said today, "Oh yeah, this is one of the things that we'd like to go over, or that we're going to go over in the Netflix documentary, is like what behind the scenes and what happens with each drop, how we decide the mint sizes and all this." And I mean, he could have just been joking, or they could be in the middle of filming and not tell anyone. In your guys' opinion, what do you think they should focus on? Should they focus more on like the heart and the struggle that you have to do as running a company, especially a largely successful one that grows really quickly? Should they focus on the sacrifices of, hey, let's not take a salary ourselves and let's take no money and put it all back in the company? Should it just be fan service? What are you guys thinking?
You gonna go ahead, Ray?
Yes. So I want David to continue exactly what he's doing and going out and getting top IP across the world. Like, that's what I want. For the investor side of me and the collector side of me both want that. So I feel like he's focused on exactly where he needs to be focused on. I wouldn't change one thing about where his focus is at all. And some people want the price to pump. It will, because the fundamentals are right when he continues doing what he's doing, and we wait for the market to come around and for the narrative to hit. That's what's going to take the price up. And the more that he's continues to do what he's doing, the higher that price will go. So like, I don't want them focusing on stupid little gimmicks that will get the price up in the short term. I want them focusing on the long-term fundamentals that are going to make VeVe the app that everyone turns to for digital collectibles. And that's 100% what he's doing. So just keep doing that. Keep your focus exactly where it's at to make VeVe the #1 digital collectibles app in the world that everyone wants to use by getting the top intellectual property as this thing goes big. And then my early VeVe collectibles will be worth a fortune because, say, 2 billion people across the world are using VeVe for their digital collectibles app. That's when my early VeVe collectibles go absolutely bonkers. Is, you know, 1 billion people or 2 billion people are using this app, and they're like, "Oh, I want the early stuff. Oh my gosh, I can get a Todd McFarlane Batman, and it's only $700,000." You know, and there's only 10,000 of these. Oh my gosh, or whatever the number is, right? And yeah, it's like, cool. You know, I got mint number 9,000, and I got it for $700,000. That's how that happens. And in order to make that future happen, he needs to keep the ball focused 100% on landing top intellectual property, keeping it secret so that people will work with them, and not releasing it till the announced release. And he's doing a great job with that. Blackpink, really big brand. Nobody leaked it.
I'd like to see like an old school Art of the Deal opener. I don't know if you guys ever read that, but where it just goes through a week of Trump's day-to-day activities in his life. It was just epic. The amount of time, like 9 o'clock, I'm dealing with this deal. 10 o'clock, I'm dealing with this person, and they're asking for donations. 10:30, I'm dealing with estimators on this site. 11 o'clock, I'm dealing with investments, my investment portfolios, and 12 o'clock, don't have time for lunch because I'm doing this. It would be epic if we saw David just go through his day-to-day, just like Trump did in his book in the 80s. And that's your flex, because you're letting everyone see what he deals with every day. And it would be after the deals have already been brought to light, of course. But I just think that would be an epic idea, you know. let everyone see what David, the type of stuff he has to deal with day in and day out, and they probably respect him more for it.
Yeah, he's a great person for this company. Part of the reason I'm excited about the future of OMI is who is leading Ecomi, and David. Like, he's got so much credibility from what I can see in the space, and having met him a couple of times, he's so personable and likable. Like, there's so much I like about him running and directing this company. Yeah. And so that's why I'm betting on it. Realize whenever you are investing in something, it's just a bet. Like, you're taking probabilities, and I feel like the probabilities are really good, which is why I'm taking this bet. Probabilities are different than a guarantee. Even when you put your money in the bank, you're actually taking a probability, even though you think it's a guarantee. So realize, especially when you're investing, it's definitely not a guarantee. We're just playing the probabilities here. And this is one of the how I feel about David and the direction he's going with Ecomi is why I feel like OMI is my number one bet for this coming bull run, when you factor in the potential for appreciation minus and then factoring in what is the risk of it failing between now and the bull run happening.
Yeah, I like him because he's real, Yeah, I respect that. Mm-hmm.
There's speaking of OMI and when it might do something, in the last hour, we've had words from our Ecomi community manager, Foster Hilt, going and saying, "Can't believe it's already been 6 months since I had the pleasure of joining the Ecomi team. Since joining, we've seen a renewed focus on accessibility for the token with the additions of BitGet and MEXC, along with the token being officially supported on Base. When it comes to utility, OMI Rewards has brought us MCP points, additional waitlist entries, exclusive airdrops, and bronze ticket rewards. While these wins are always worth celebrating, the truth is that we've only scratched the surface on these crucial priorities, and there's so much more that needs to come. I believe that these last several months have allowed us to take foundational steps, which, while not exciting on their surface, will allow us to expand to new heights as we continue through 2024 and beyond. A well-deserved thanks goes out to the fan for their constant support, blah, blah, blah." And then Wes goes and says, "Please implement OMI burns at some point. 311 billion circulating supply is a lot." And then Foster says, with a gift from Will Ferrell. And I wonder what he means. I mean, what could come out? I mean, OMI to NFT is the next thing, right? So logically. But the only question is when. Predictions, guys?
I can't comment because Wes told me to never comment on any of his stuff ever again.
Really?
Yeah. Really. I'm too positive, moon boy.
Yeah, you're such a moon boy. And I was called that a lot in 2020, right? Because there were a lot of people that were just in these moons. And I hadn't started my YouTube channel yet till end of 2020. Oh, lost Randy there for a sec. And so they're just like, "Oh, you're just a moon boy, blah, blah, blah. You're not real, and da, 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 and all these projects are failures, and blah, 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 and it all sucks, and da, da." I'm like, why are you here? Like, what do you get about, like, okay, yeah, I'm only 3 or 4 years into it. This is my first bear market that I'm really preparing for the bull market. But I don't see how has this 4-year cycle, why we're not going to have a big cycle in 2021. Oh, blah, 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 blah. You don't know what you're talking about. Sure enough, 2021. Where'd all those fudders go? I have no idea. They definitely weren't around chatting anymore. And so, like, same thing. Like, we're going to see that with OMI. And, Wes sometimes, I think, has some negative days, but sometimes has some positive days. I think a lot of people are going to find out what the 4-year cycle is all about in the next 12 months.
Right.
100%. Are you guys... any of you guys use Binance or subscribe to like a newsletter?
Mm-mm.
They had an announcement before, and in the announcement they said, "Binance is taking the lead to engage in small to medium projects. We would like to invite such high quality teams and projects to apply for our listing program, including direct listing, launch pools, mega drops, and more." Is this something that VeVe should jump on, or is it like, hey, you guys just paid like a $4.4 billion lawsuit, we need to stay away for a while? Or something.
I think they should go for Binance. I mean, Binance is a reputable company. It's like, did everyone stop dealing with the banks in the U.S. that actually had been caught laundering money for the cartel? And I think their fine was like $100,000 or something. It was like nothing compared to what Binance was fined for, far less than what that bank had done.
Yeah.
Binance learned that they just didn't have enough U.S. lobbyists is really the lesson they learned out of that, because the bank did. So they paid a much smaller fine for much worse behavior. So what? We should all blacklist, them as an exchange? I think Binance does a tremendous job in exchange. How many people have had their funds on Binance go missing? Like, I'm not really aware of anyone that way. So they're one of the best exchanges out there. It's unfortunate. Well, they do have Binance.us, so those in the US can use it, but Binance.com, became the most reputable exchange in all of crypto, in my opinion, since 2018. They were brand new in 2017. Like, they had no market share. They really started to get some market share in 2018.
That was one of my biggest mistakes last run, was selling BNB at $60. And I think I had 100 of them or something like that. And I was listening to BitBoy Crypto, freaking out. The market's going crazy. It's going down. Sell everything. And I'm like, oh, well, I better get out of it. And then sure enough, it jumps to like 90, then 150, then all the way, I think, to $600 or something like that, a coin. I'm like, well, that was 60 grand. I just jumped right out of for nothing. Yeah. Thanks, BitBoy.
Yeah. Thanks, BitBoy. We all appreciate you. It took me a while to figure out the misaligned incentives between YouTube channels and successful investing. I didn't know for like a solid year or two. I thought, well, they've had a YouTube channel for a while and they've been in crypto for a while, so they must know what they're talking about when it comes to crypto prices. But after a while, I just thought, gosh, they're just wrong so often. Maybe they really don't understand this stuff. And then, now I've been in 7 years, it's like almost all of the big YouTube channels, they really don't understand the investing side very well at all, with the exception of like Coin Bureau. But Coin Bureau really is just covering projects. They rarely cover anything on price. And so, a lot of the big channels just, I don't know, they don't have a history on investing. They make amazing revenues from their YouTube channel. Don't misconstrue that to be like, oh, they know what they're talking about when they're talking about whether a project is going to go up or not. Yeah. But I didn't know that till I learned the hard way. Holy cow. I did learn that the big YouTube channels usually get really big because they cover things when they're pumping and when they're hot. And so I would get way more views. I'd have way more viewers if I were covering Solana right now. If I were covering, oh, ETH, this just happened. ETH is such an amazing deal and why it can go 100x from here. I get a whole lot more traffic because that's what the algorithm's going to promote, is stuff covering whatever's hot, get way more subscribers, and all my subscribers will get wrecked because I'm covering whatever's pumped a ton. Like, for example, Solana is a perfect example. Solana was $6. What's Solana been at the peak like recently? Like way up in the hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds, yeah. So
it's already done, say, 30x. Well, from the bottom to the top, is Solana even going to make like 100x? It's such a large market cap project that from where the bottom was to go 100x overall would be remarkable. And so if it's already up 30x, that means you might have 3x left, maybe. And so when you look at it that way, it's like, oh, but there are tons of people buying Solana when it's 30x up from the bottom and thinking it's going to do another 30x from here. And as a YouTube content creator, if I just created content that kind of reinforced that, and I threw out, oh, it's not financial advice, I'd get a lot more subscribers. Yes, they'd all get wrecked, but my channel would get bigger and bigger and bigger. And people would think, oh, because your channel's so big, you must know what you're talking about because you have so many subscribers. So there is this weird thing that we associate. If their channel's really big and they cover crypto, they must be good at this stuff. And it took me a good year and a half to learn that's not true. In fact, it's almost inversely correlated.
It's kind
the
of
bigger
like
their channel is, the less I should listen to them on any of their calls and only use them as a news service.
Yeah, I'm starting to think the SEC does that with they're just like backwards on all the decisions they should be making.
Right. Yeah, a lot of it is hard. Like if you cover the most amazing project and say it's a project, for example, say you started a YouTube channel in 2019. or 2020 and you covered Axie Infinity every day, do you realize you would have had like a total of like maybe 100 subscribers over like 2 years covering Axie Infinity, like every day? Then when the market goes crazy and say the AXS token went from like 30 cents and it's now $200. So now if you're covering Axie Infinity at $200, you'll get tens of thousands of subscribers, but it's a terrible time to buy it. So when you're actually covering things that are a good deal, you get very little traction with YouTube pushing you out because nobody's searching for that. And so it's just a channel size problem. That like, okay, you want to grow a big channel, talk about what's really hot. Okay, all your people might get wrecked, but you will get a big channel out of it. So wait till Axie Infinity goes to $100 and then cover it every day, and then your channel will get really big. Yes, all your viewers will get wrecked. And many people choose to take that approach because they're interested in having the big channel and the notoriety that brings. That's cool. I can't. That's the trade-off they're making. I don't want to make that trade-off, but other people, like, they're welcome to. Just realize that's the incentives they're dealing with.
Right.
There's something to say. I mean, you have people that maybe don't know. I don't know how about those influencers where they're just talking about what's hot because they, again, they might be new as well, but they have good presentation, they have good showmanship. But then you have the people that are like, okay, I know what I'm doing is wrong, and then it gets to a really squirrely position, and
yeah. Like one of the things I can say about BitBoy is he's funny, he is entertaining. If you like, I guess people that think he knows what he's talking about with crypto, just I don't know, follow him for a while and see how those work out. I found that like I don't ever listen when he says, "Oh, this is a good deal." My 12-year-old might as well be saying it's a good deal to me. Do I sometimes watch him for entertainment value? I do sometimes. It's weird because like he's fun, and there's value to that, right? Sometimes you just want your crypto news and you want it to be fun. But if he's like, oh my gosh, this project, da, 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 like literally, I assigned to him the crypto investment understanding of what a 12-year-old might understand as far as what is a good deal. Why? Because I've been around for 7 years. I've seen how many times he's wrong, and it's far greater than the times he's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not a scientific thing. I think 1 out of every 8 times he's right. And so like, my 12-year-old's right more than that. Yeah. Like he would at least have a 50-50 shot. He'd just be like, I don't know, this one. And he'd probably be right 50% of the time.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, guys. I'm not there.
I watch him sometimes. He's fun, you know. I was sad to see the breakup with the rest of his channel and all that drama ensue, and like, you know, then.
Well, did you notice what he said out of his own mouth throughout that whole process? I was watching that. He was like, "I let the person that ran all the funds was his partner's dad, who had no experience in things. He was cheating on his wife, according to him, and he was going through a lot in his personal life." And it was like, dude, like, are you making any good decisions right now? Like you let everyone take over your business and you gave someone who has no idea about money all the money. What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is like he gave, like a 12-year-old was running the business. Yeah. I mean, out of his own mouth, you know, that's just what he was saying. But
what I do like about him is he's fairly honest about who he is for the most part. If you listen to him, he'll essentially tell you over time who he is. And I can respect that, right? He isn't good with this stuff. He is good at talking. Like that is his skill, and he's entertaining. Like, and I'm envious of that. Like, I think that's really cool. Sometimes I'm so logical, I'm a little bit boring, and that's just what it is. It's like that's fine. That's who I am. My mind thinks economics and the psychology of people behavior all the time. And like each of us were built for different purposes. Like he's a good entertainer. Yeah. Did he make some poor decisions because he's new at like bigger business? He made a number of them, and probably he'll learn. He is entertaining enough that I could see his crypto channel rebuilding and stuff. And maybe he makes some better decisions this time with who he's letting run his finances and other things.
And we're all learning from our mistakes, you know, the past. It's just, are we learning from them? If we're not, we're just repeating the same mistakes, you know. That's what gets us wrecked over and over again.
So I had a question for you guys, because this is the way I think about VeVe and OMI. First of all, first question, and each of you independently, don't be swayed by each other's opinions. If you had $10,000 to put into VeVe collectibles right now or straight into OMI, which of those two would you pick? And this is purely for investment returns.
OMI. Yeah, just if it's just purely for investment, I would say OMI. When that happens, like, and again, I could be half wrong or at least partly wrong, where the collectibles could pump first, and if you look at it short term in 3 to 6 months, we're like, okay, well, Randy was wrong. But I think over that long enough timeline, 12, 15 months, however long it is, OMI will far outperform 99% of stuff on the app. There'll be a couple of dark horses that'll outperform OMI, I'm sure.
They go absolutely crazy.
But yeah, the OMI just makes more sense to me. That being said, I love my VeVe stuff, but yeah, OMI.
What about you, Bill?
That's one of the issues I've been having, is I keep putting in money and, well, lately it's been collectibles, but just because I've gotten kind of lazy with OMI because it's just a new route that I have to take to get it. And so I've been so busy with everything I'm doing. I'm just like, I'll get back to it later. I'll get to it later. And then I end up buying other stuff on the app, and feeding more money into there. But honestly, at this point, I'd probably be 75% OMI and 25% on the app. And dollar cost averaging into OMI has gotten me my 0.0007 dollar cost average price.
Nice.
I originally bought when it was 0.06. I think, or 0.006, something like that.
Yeah,
it was
0.006.
Yeah. And I bought 1 million. And then from then on, I dollar cost averages just a little bit here and there. And it's gotten me where I am now. So I would continue to do the same thing. I don't think OMI is going to pump for a while, and so I'm going to continue to buy it, but not as large chunks as a lot of guys do, because it's got me the better price range doing it that way.
Yeah, it's hard to tell where the bottom is. And so during bear markets, like I've had a dollar cost average, and it kind of sucks, and it totally leaves you open to ridicule when prices go lower. I remember starting dollar cost averaging into Cardano at 11 cents, and then went to 9 cents, then went to 7 cents, then went to 5 cents. And then people are like, look how dumb you are. You're completely upside down on your whole bag. And I'm like, yep, and I'm still buying. And it sucked. It's like, you just got to cut, and they're squeezing lemon on it, and it hurts. And you're like, part of you is happy because you're buying more for cheaper, but part of you is like, man, I could have 3 times the amount had I just waited till now. So it's like bittersweet at the same time. And then it goes lower, and then, it went to 1.7 cents. At that point, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have like 7 times the amount, or like whatever. It wouldn't have been 7. It probably would have been like 4 times the amount. Had I just waited till then. I was like, oh, crap, oh, well, it just is what it is. And then when it goes way up from there, you're just like, oh, yeah, I made the right decision. Yeah, I could have had more, but how realistic is that to expect that? And that's how the ride goes. Did have a next question for you guys. So for purely return on investment, we're talking about multiple X's. What would you say the best purely investment could be on, like, what might have the highest gains? And this just a wild guess. This is definitely not financial advice to anyone there. What one do you like for, I bet you this one ends up having the highest gains from where the price is at now?
I'm talking about collectibles, right?
Yeah.
I think this is a multi-layered question, because you could have, if you want to have do as little work as possible, then you could pick whichever one, as far as the grails, like Spider-Man, and you could do Spider-Man common, or you could do Vader common, and just pick the common of either one. But if you don't mind, if you're personable and you have extra money, and you don't mind going out and spending a little money and spending time and networking and doing things that might not work, but has potential high return, I would grab that gold and silver logo, and I would go to a party, or the Ecomi Secret Rare logo, one of those two. The Ecomi Secret Rare logos, we don't really have those parties yet, but it's just it's a Venn diagram where half of those people will also have VeVe Secret Rare logos, but the other half doesn't. And the quality people in there is just astounding. The VeVe Go logo, obviously, you have those parties, you have those networking events. The Ecomi Secret, we haven't had that yet, but the amount of knowledge and money that's in those groups are, you could easily go in and find somebody in any branch of business you want and do a partnership with them. Like, hey, you're an expert in your field. Let me go in with you on a business. Or, hey, I like your art. I like your whatever. And I think through that networking, there's tens of millions of dollars worth of that network. If not add another zero to that, hundreds of millions.
Yeah, I didn't think about that layer of the approach, or I would have excluded that, because that is true. That is true. But purely ROI from the collectible itself, what would you say the number one collectible is?
I don't know. Bill, you go first.
Ultimate X-Men 1, Peach Momoko common. Because when the anime guys come, they're going to be looking for her, and they'll be looking for the new X-Men. That's just my personal opinion, but I think they'll be looking for stuff like that, because it's going to be affordable. When we're looking at multiple X's, the ones that are thousands is going to be so hard for most people to obtain once it goes so many X's, and the commons are not, So I think right now it's sitting around $10 to $15 or something like that. I think we'll see that do probably a good $500, in my opinion.
So this is the one. There's it's a little bit confusing because there's multiple versions of the same thing, but
it's the one with the pink cover. You gotta look up all of them. It's go under search ultimate and then click on comics, but then broaden your search, and then you'll go down the list and you'll see Ultimate X-Men 1. It's got a pink cover to it.
Pink, because what's funny is there's Ultimate X-Men and there's 4 different ones.
Yes, those are the newer ones, yeah.
And
they're different.
How come they
the same name? I had a talk with Dr. Profit about it. There's even an issue with Stacker not being able to pull it up because they need to add extra info on that because there's so many comics with the exact same name as the older ones.
Yeah, why are there 4 with exactly the same name?
Yeah,
that is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. You're talking about the pink, there's a girl in it with a pink guy behind her.
Yeah, with a set of eyes behind her or whatever.
Yeah, I'll share screen so people can see what we're talking about. So this is the one you think?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sold out, was selling for $8.98. Some of those on the market. So you think when the anime people come in, this will get picked up?
Yeah, that's my pick.
Cool.
I've got 40 of them right now. So.
Oh, so these other ones are X-Men number 3, and this is X-Men number 2. This is actually the X-Men number 1 version of it.
Yeah.
But it's not showing that on here, right? And then what? This is also
not the actual marketplace of VeVe either. That's the the new site, the version 2 or whatever.
Yeah, it's the one it takes you to now when you log in. At least that's what it took me to. It's the new way it's organized is I don't have to get used to something new.
Yeah, they keep doing that to us.
I know. It does look cool, but the search, it prices, when you actually look at the market, it shows the highest price first. I don't know why it's doing that, and it won't let me then sort for lowest price first.
And my understanding with that comic is if they're revamping the X-Men in a new storyline, that yes, they've revamped the X-Men in the past, but I don't think they've ever done an anime, and that could be huge. If it's especially with an artist that like her, that's really beloved.
Yeah, and they're all original creations by her as well. That's part of what they announced at not Marvel Comic-Con, South by Southwest, which is great. So that's a really good pick. If we're going by comics, I'll take something that has a little bit more of a kind of a cheat, because you have stuff that's already established. Like if you do Giant X-Men number 1, that's first appearance of Storm, Colossus, and then a couple others that I'm derping on right now. But But that one,
can I add, Randy, real quick?
Yeah.
I wanted to say what you just build on what you said earlier. I love silver and gold, and the only thing I've ever sold my silver and gold for was 2 VeVe gold and silver logos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you said multiple. I think for the most wanted though, it will probably be that logo.
Yeah. That's one of my favorites. The only reason I would sell the number 41 that I have is if it's like for the headline, that'll be good for VeVe. Like, my other 41s, I'd sell them as a set. Like, sells for 6 figures, sells for 100,000, and then this way it's good for the company because then you have a series of things sell for that much. And I already have another one as well. I'll probably get another one out of that, so I could replace it. But for the X-Men number 1, I just looked it up. First appearance, Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Thunderbird. So the giant size, that one what is it right now? It's $21. There's only 7,500 of them. That's going to be my pick for the best ROI, at least for a comic.
I like that one. And I asked a comic collector, like serious comic collector, which one he liked the best, and that was one of his answers for best price versus possible gains is the giant size X-Men. Awesome. Let me catch up on some of the comments. Jason Penn is saying Ecomi secret rare logo will most closely reflect OMI performance, in my opinion. Right. Chris Severs, $1 comic key OG cover that goes to $2, 100% gain. It is true. Some peeps been dumping these like mad to chase new toys. Thank you, those peeps that have been dumping those. I have been picking those up. It's really been helping my master collector point. So thank you for everyone who's been dumping them for $1. Anyway, the bundle sales, 41s for 1 million LFG. I think you'd probably need to offer Randy more than $1 million to get all his 41s.
Oh wait, is it just $1 million OMI or $1 million? $1
million.
Oh yeah, YOLO. Yeah. I think the animals that I plan to help would really be salty at me if I didn't have that, if I didn't do that deal, especially when I could go and turn that into a lot more.
We'll see. Yeah, maybe you would take that now, but not when the market hits.
Yeah, when the market hit, it depends what things are. I mean, that's gonna be hard.
Because there's some things I would sell now if I got the kind of offer, just because I know what I could roll it into for cheap.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But when it hits, yeah, that's gonna be hard to sell. I mean, and then at that point, I won't need to either because everything will have been by then, and I'll be yay.
Chris Severs, giant size X-Men number 1 is True Grail. Good pick, Randy. Also, anyone in this app who doesn't own X-Men number 25, rare or ultra rare, shame on you. Magneto pulls Wolvie's adamantium out. That's what that's on. That's cool. That's a good one. I remember watching that from the is it the movie? Was that in the movie or was it from the original cartoon forever ago that I saw that in?
Well, it was, I don't know if it was not in the movie yet. I will not give spoilers away for other things, but it wasn't in a movie. They gave him adamantium in one of the movies. I think it was X-Men Origins. That's when they gave it to him. But when he pulls it out, that's a very iconic moment. Yeah, that's a big one.
I did pick up some of these because a lot of the comments, because they had this weird, what is it? What were these called when they did these? I forget, on the actual comic covers, where as you change directions, it kind of looks cool. And they kind of did a version of that on this. So I think this makes this one a little bit special. But apparently some people disagree with me because the floor on it's like $1.25. $1.23. Nice.
Yeah, there are some deals in this app right now for sure.
There's a ton of them. I mean, there's a reason why I'm number 2 on Marvel's sub 100 list, and it's not because I have like hundreds of thousands to throw around. People are just giving away these Marvel Mighty sub 100s for like $29. It's like, guys, you're dumb. I shouldn't say that, but it's like, guys, you guys are taking crazy pills because that's, oh my God. Yeah. Every time I see that, it's like, oh, I gotta buy it. I gotta have it.
That's the beauty of like when it's out of the narrative and it's not running, it's just people get impatient. And, you know, somebody asked in the comments, what was that Einstein quote again? Because this Einstein quote perfectly describes crypto investing.
Yeah, it did.
That was oh yeah, we did that on Monday, right? Yeah, it was just talking about compound interest, saying it's the eighth wonder of the world, and saying he who understands it earns it, but he who doesn't pays it. And that's just chef's kiss. Love that quote.
Yeah, I would combine that with you know, investing is just a principle of money changing hands from the impatient to the patient.
Right.
100%.
And that's what I was adding earlier was I'm not impatient for what I have in my safe. It's just sitting there, you know, and a lot of people the problem is they focus too much on is something going up or down every day instead of just stacking that pile up even more.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I can't find it. I just saw it. They were talking about the the Ethereum ETF approvals.
I'll find it.
If you were to ask me, like a couple months ago, I'd been like, it looks like they're going to delay it. But now it looks like they're going to approve it. I think that's why Ethereum jumped like 20% the other day.
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all think? So I think after the Bitcoin ETFs were approved, Bitcoin actually went down like right away. And then after like a month when they got cleared to like actually do the funding and everything, that's when it kind of went up. Expect something similar for ETH?
Well, there was a long buildup period to the Bitcoin ETF being approved that everyone kind of knew the chances were super high it was going to get approved building up to it. So the price really climbed leading up to it by a lot. And so that way, when it actually came out, like people bought the rumor and then they sold the news. Whereas the ETH ETF caught everyone off guard. However, there is a little bit of a poison pill in what they're trying to require. It looks like they're probably going to approve an ETH ETF, but they're not going to allow the ETFs to use staked ETH in the ETF at all. Mm. So in other words, if you're going to hold ETH, you can't have it staked in the ETF because why would we want to let you earn an extra 4% return, which is just the SEC and the US being ridiculous once again. So it's like they haven't given up on their ridiculosity. And the only reason they're probably approving this is because Trump announced that he's pro-crypto. That woke up a bunch of Democrats. All of a sudden, they saw how much support was swinging over to Trump over this. And they're like, oh, crap. There's people who normally vote for us who are now not going to vote for us because of we've been so anti-crypto. Oh, crap. Let's either pretend we're pro-crypto or let's actually go pro-crypto. Which of those two they are, I don't know. You know, their actions from most of the Democrat Party has not been favorable. I say most because there's some Democrats that have been all over this issue on the right side. Elizabeth Warren and her anti-crypto army, all of them have Democrat behind their names. So that hasn't been helpful for Democrats in this upcoming election. While some are kind of swinging around and realizing how important this is for voters. They're supposedly the ETH ETF approval is because of them leaning on Gary Gensler. We'll see. Makes sense.
I mean, the House just approved that Crypto Fit 21 bill, and there was a large wave of Democrat support for it. So always got to give people a thumbs up when they're doing it.
And Chuck Schumer, who is the most, literally one of the most powerful Democrats in the Democrat Party, voted on the right way on that. So that was a big deal because Biden had said, you know, he would veto that. And for Chuck Schumer, the leader in the Senate and the leader of Democrats in the Senate to oppose him on that is a really big deal. And so I think the White House has had to really look at if they're really going to veto that because a bunch of Democrats supported that. And they might even have enough support to override a veto if he does veto it. And that will make him look really bad. For Democrats to go out of line on the White House on this, it just shows that the White House is completely out of touch because they don't want to go out of line with what the White House is doing, but they have to because he's just so wrong on where he's going with crypto with this.
That's a good point. You know, government itself is just so out of touch. I mean, they're so left, right. they're just all out of place, you know.
Well, one of the problems has been, so it's a problem of success. And so when you're successful, it's like, oh, we're just going to coast off of all this success. And part of the success came from 1990s when there was a freshman class with a lot of power in Congress that passed a lot of things as the internet was booming, because there were people back then that wanted to shut down the internet. There were telecoms that did not like it happening. They especially did not want voice over internet protocol. And a freshman wave of Congress came in with a lot of power, and they passed a lot of really good legislation, and they balanced the budget. I know Bill Clinton takes credit for it. He happened to be president while that happened. That is true. But he vetoed it for like 7 times before he was looking so bad vetoing the balanced budget that he finally didn't veto it. So I guess you can give him credit for it, but he did not lead that effort. This class of a whole bunch of freshman wave people that came in pushed all that, and that good legislation allowed the internet to boom tremendously throughout the US, which caused so much of the internet wealth to be in the US. And a lot of that internet wealth and other things is like the US has been so prosperous. All these other countries have seen the opportunity to come in and pass better legislation, allow crypto to boom in their countries. And the US has been coasting off of the successful legislation in the 90s. And because they're way ahead, it's almost like the tortoise and the hare, where the hare gets so far ahead, it goes to sleep and takes all this naps and stuff. And that's what the US politicians have been doing. They have been napping on this. They've stood with the entrenched interests against this and been trying to suppress it, while the rest of the world has caught on, being like, oh yeah, we would love to take all this money from the US. The US has a perfect position to benefit from this, but they're not taking it. So let us come in and pass favorable legislation. Let all the crypto development happen here. So waves of business are permanently outside the US now because of that. And if the US doesn't wake up, crypto is still going to happen. It's just not going to happen in the US. They're starting to wake up, though. Thank goodness.
Can't wait. Got to get that money in the US. USA. USA.
We need to start bringing a lot of things back here.
Yeah. It's just craziness. And this is the reason why automobiles weren't built in New York City. Same problem. But because the US is acting different than it was set up as, they were supposed to be a federalist society, which is like one state could pass something, another state could go a different way, and then all the business might move to the other state. But now at the national level, these decisions are being made by these agencies who are appointed by a president on a national level. It's not like in Texas, you can say, you know what, we don't think any of them are securities. Bring your business over here. Because then SEC will say, oh, we'll disagree with that. And so kind of they're locked out of the whole of the US. Well, back in the early 1900s, New York was very unfavorable to automobile development. Why? All the politicians were in bed with the horse and buggy and whip industry. So they were not going to let it happen there. And they required you to walk in front of your horseless carriage, waving red flags, because these new automobiles were so dangerous compared to horses. Like, horses are pretty dangerous. They run over people too. But they were able to get enough people on board with that. The whole automobile industry moved to this place called Detroit, Michigan. And they built it out of this new place that wasn't really big or anything. And that became the new place. And Michigan became absolutely a powerhouse because automobiles were built there. Well, so it moved within the country, but just to a different state. Well, the SEC has just been pushing it all out of the country completely to other countries. It's unfortunate for the US to see that, but like, this is all going to happen. You know, The question is, where are we all going to be in 20 years? Well, it depends on what country is the most crypto friendly.
Right. Yeah. And it's just goes to show you that, you know, even though you're not part of the plan, someone else will be. You know, it's something, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but my phone actually doesn't have AR capabilities. But I am on the top 500 VeVe collectibles list, like around 250-ish. Isn't that funny? But I'm here. And yes, I got to get a new phone at some point. It just doesn't have it. I don't know why. It's not that old. But it's that much I believe in the project that even though I can't take photos with my collectibles, I just keep buying them.
The no Q asks, like, when Earth 2 crypto For Earth 2, it's usually whenever they say a month, it's usually the last day of that month.
Yep.
So I would say next Friday on the 31st. And a few months ago, I had previously said, depending on what's going on with OMI at the time, I might sell some OMI for the Earth 2 Essence crypto if OMI was high enough and the Essence crypto came out low enough.
Yeah.
But the opposite might happen, where if the Essence crypto comes out high, and OMI still down at these prices, I might be able to go and
at what price range you think, Randy?
I would say it comes out at like 25, 50 cents. If it comes out at 10 cents, I will use a bunch of money that I have
to buy
elsewhere, and I'll buy a bunch of Essence. But if it comes out at like $2, and I have 40,000 Essence, I'll sell like 20% of it, and
that's
then
what I was thinking too. 10-20% at $2. Yeah.
Because obviously I think it can go gangbusters, but also I want to use it to play the game. I want to use it to go and although this past weekend has I don't know if I can say what games I've been playing yet, but I'm like playing these games for this company I'm looking to invest in, and I spent probably a good 24 hours getting the high scores on some of these games, and it's just, if Earth 2 is that addictive, I don't know if that's going to be healthy for me to continue to play, because I'm going to be so into it.
It's the future.
It is. Can't wait.
Yeah, we'll see how Earth 2 ends up doing. I hope you guys hit a home run on that. I still haven't bought any positions in there. I'm just going to pass on that one for now.
We kind of already
Earth 2 has always been about the crypto for me from the get-go. So I will hold on to the land, though, for, to build all that crypto back up in the bear market. And then at that point, maybe I'll sell it once they really do have the metaverse that you can run around in. But right now, it's just going to be testing phases, just like every other company.
Well, I'd say a big kudos to the team behind it. There were a lot of companies that came out at that time that just took their money, like shut down the company and ran. And they stuck around and continued building during the bear market and making something happen for their investors. So
yeah, one of the things I like about it too is that they announced, Randy talked about it in his show, but they announced that they can't even get the crypto until somebody mines it on their land. They get a 1-to-1 share. So that way they can't even dump on their own community, because until it's mined, they don't have access to it.
And they have, like, as far as active users go, that's their secondary market. That's people buying and selling land. That's people collecting and selling jewels.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You can't keep up with it. It's amazing.
That's like
Oriel asks a good question here. Do you think another Funko physical plus digital collectible drop will come? What would you like to see for a physical and digital collectible partnership? I think their Iron Man was pretty solid. That was a really cool one.
Yeah, it made a ton of money too.
For me, just 80s nostalgia.
I would like, if it's a license they already have, the Tokidoki stuff is really cool, because that at the cons outside of Marvel and VeVe, that's the most popular booth, and those things are. I don't think there's any whales coming in and playing with these little horses, these little mermicornos and unicornos, but it's just everyone loves them, and they don't really. Most of them don't really care about the price. Some of them, there's like, hey, does anyone have this? I'm trying to find it cheap, and some try to find theirs cheaper, but some other people like, I just want it. I think that would be really cool for things that they don't already have. Just Pokemon, that would be the best. Because Pokemon has these things called shinies, where one out of every 8,400 of them, it's a variant of a different color. And I think VeVe was going to do that with the Dr. Octopus, where one of them is red. But I think they ran into sweepstakes laws, and they weren't allowed to do that. So I don't know if they'll be able to go and do that, or if people would be big mad if this happened. They could maybe do that, but they could maybe do that not in the US. How this drop is available globally, or this drop is available, wherever. If they did that drop, they would be like, okay, this drop is available for everyone to purchase that market everywhere except the US. If they did that, it's this double-edged sword. So then they could do the shiny hunt, but Americans wouldn't be able to do that, and that'd be Yeah.
Why would U.S. laws prevent that? Sometimes these laws are like frustrating.
Yeah. I'd like to
I'd
see.
say sometimes, often, a lot of times they're written to protect incumbents and not protect the people, that the politicians say they represent. Saul G says we need a clean sweep in Congress, no more senior citizens in there. I think in the US, all they need is term limits. And what's funny is like every voter agrees with that, whether they're the most liberal person in the whole world or the most conservative person in the world. They all agree with that. The problem is trying to get the existing people who actually have to vote on this, meaning the senators and the congressmen, to agree to that. And they're the only ones not in favor of that. Mitch McConnell, can you see Mitch McConnell, who's, I don't know, been in political life more years than like anyone in here has been alive. And, they're not, the problem is getting them to vote for it.
And that they can't become lobbyists afterwards.
Yeah. That's how you get money out of politics, actually, those two things right there. Campaign finance didn't do it. And they knew it wouldn't. That was just what they sold people on it. John McCain sold everyone on this idea. This will get money out of politics. No, it increased the money in politics, made it more vital that you fund your side of whatever politics is. You get money out of politics by term limits and by you can't then go be a lobbyist.
Yeah.
Those two things, which is why they'll never get passed because they don't really want to get money out of politics. How else do you think they go to tens of millions of dollars making $300,000 a year?
Have you guys heard the speech that El Salvador president when he came up and gave recently? It was incredible.
I heard snippets of it.
Yeah, I listened to the whole thing, and he was talking about the corruption in his government and how he routed out a lot of it. And the same thing is going on here on both sides. And they've just been giving government fat money for so long. It's like they can't relate with anybody. Like
and
Hillary Clinton
didn't know
what a Red Bull was. I mean, how do you not know what a Red Bull is?
Yeah, it's hard to get it out too, because even if, say you, especially with all the checks and balances that the U.S. has, is say we elected like Ron Paul for president, right? Who I think we can agree based on his track record, he's pretty not corrupt. Would he be able to get the corruption out? No way. No. Why your corrupt Republicans would stab him in the back, your corrupt Democrats would they'll never let it through. You would have to vote in a massive way. And the problem with like the U.S. Senate is only a third of them are up at a time. And so you would have to. Yeah. And then there's those that pretend they won't be corrupt and that actually aren't corrupt because it's so hard. Like I remember some politician running forever ago when I was in Arizona and he was in the state of Arizona and I'm going to be He turned out to be such a charlatan, right? But like, how would you have known he like did a good sales job when he actually got in? He was just terrible.
Yeah. The El Salvador president, I think he said they started off with paper ballots. That's how they changed the system so that the voting was harder to rig for certain areas and got a lot of the corruption out that way. And then they built from there. Yeah, I don't know. It's a great speech. If you get a chance, check out the whole thing. It was awesome.
We should probably do blockchain voting.
Yeah,
because blockchain voting.
Well, again, the only people who wouldn't be in favor of that are the people who currently control the system.
Right.
Because no one disagrees with that once they learn what blockchain is, because everyone in theory agrees with one vote, one person, one vote, except for the people that are currently rigging systems and wherever they're rigging them. Oh, they won't agree with that. Of course, they won't state the real reasons why they're not for that, but they would never agree for that.
They had me and Alejandra Guajardo talked about that. She was Miss El Salvador.
That was a great show
2 years ago. And then she's big in support over there. I don't know if she actually got to meet. I think she got to meet the president for some reason or another. Maybe he just invites Miss El Salvador to like his house whenever that happens, and maybe that's how. Yeah. But yeah, I think blockchain voting that'd be so cool. I mean, yeah, we got to figure out how to do that.
It's the future.
We can talk about it.
Yeah. In some ways, people are like, the press absolutely hate him, right? Which was the first sign that I might have to like him. the truth is the press hated Abraham Lincoln like crazy. They hated him. If you read what they wrote about him, they absolutely hated him. What did he do? Well, he ended slavery, did right things by the country, did amazing things. So like when the press absolutely loves somebody, I kind of like look at him. I'm like, I'm a little bit concerned. Like, I don't know that I can trust you. Too many of the wrong people love you. But when the press hates somebody, that's when I was like, I think I might need to look in this guy deeper. He probably might be good. And they're like, oh, it was pretty savage what he did. He would just go in, and it's like if you lived with a gangster in the house, he arrested you too. Just arrested you all. And like a lot of these people are waiting trial for a while. Why? Well, there was a big problem. Like El Salvador, I remember when 20 years ago, I worked with Latino immigrants to Montreal, Canada. And El Salvador was the most dangerous city in the whole world. It's like, oh man, San Salvador, it was like terrible. And he completely changed it around to one of the safest countries in the whole world in record time. Things people said could never be done, and yet he did it. And then complained about how he did it. But the truth is, far less people are being murdered. So there's some people that may have just like not been part of the crime that were living with somebody who might be falsely imprisoned. There are thousands of people who are still alive today that would be dead in the last couple of years had he not gone this approach. So yes, there's probably some innocent people sitting in jails right now. And there's probably a whole bunch of people who are alive who would otherwise be dead at the same time.
Yeah. And that's a problem with American politics too, is a lot of politicians, they don't ever like face jail time. I mean, some you get occasional, but most people, they just step down from their position.
Yeah.
They're not going to jail for their crimes.
Yeah.
And if people had to face the facts, a lot harder, then they would be less likely to do the crooking.
I think we're all curious to see how Argentina goes.
Yeah.
I have high hopes for what's going on there. One of the challenges is because I'm not a big believer in like people, because people sometimes be corrupt. And so one of the challenges with essentially dictatorships, which is kind of what's happening in El Salvador, you have the best dictator in the world. Like dictator doesn't mean they have to be a bad person.
Yeah.
The problem is the system is like, say you have the most benevolent person in the world and he gets voted in as king or dictator and he sets the country up completely right. Yeah. Well, then the problem with that system is who's he going to turn it over to? Or what if he becomes corrupt? He has ultimate power. So now he can just start doing whatever he wants to. Yeah. So Argentina, like, even though I'd like to see this guy do well, we'll see how he actually does. And that'll tell us what kind of person he is. So far, it seems like he's doing good things, though.
Yeah, I got high hopes for him.
Because it's always risky in that position. Like, the U.S., for all its brokenness in the system, it gums up so much crap that it's really hard for dictatorial stuff to really get implemented.
Yeah.
So that's good. And it's bad because it also means it's really hard to clean up the corruption. It takes a long, 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 long time.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be nice if we could take power away from the federal government more and start pushing more back to the states themselves, like which was originally intended.
Yeah. That's why I loved Ron Paul. Voted against
Save the Constitution.
Oh God, Amy Lee. Yeah. Oh God. I walked out to that song for a fight once. That was like,
that's great.
Yeah, that was like, I love that. That was a so he's like the only politician to vote against increasing their own pay, where like everyone else. Everyone else was like, we deserve more. So I like Nancy Mace. Nancy Mace is all about term limits. So I hope she. Trump hasn't announced his running mate yet. Also,
what is the deal there? Right? Isn't it unprecedented at this far? I don't know.
So Stan's comment threw me off a little bit here. It said, Rain, do you charge to be a bar buddy? I would clean the house with the ladies with you by my side at the bar and lounge. Actually, if I bring my wing woman, you will really clean house. This is my wing woman. So if we're at the bar and she comes up and gives you a really big hug and stuff and says hi to you, and then like every girl there is going to be like, who is this man?
It has happened before, like with friends.
We've had her be a wing woman to some of our friends. Oh my gosh, how the ladies are like on them like magnets after. They're like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So Stan, fly us both out and we'll have some fun.
One of my exes used to do that, but then she'd be like, she didn't like to share. She would get jealous, or we'd like go, I don't know. I'm like, oh hey, yeah, I'm Kara's boyfriend, and then we would start talking, and then we would like all, I don't know. I guess she got a little jealous that people liked me, and that was good times. But yeah, hell of a wing woman though. She's super pretty.
Right.
Nice. Yeah.
Planet Vampire saying, yeah, a lot of talk on politics, and we're coming up to a U.S. election, so I guess not too surprising. As thank goodness crypto takes the forefront, and you're starting to see the two political parties like fight for the crypto voter. Hell yes, in 2017 when I came in, you said the word crypto, and the politician would just laugh at you like, what is that thing? Oh, that's just a scam. So it's so nice to be where both political parties are now like fighting for the crypto voter. I can just say, hell yes. Thank goodness for that. So a lot on politics talk, Stan laughing at that. Yeah, my gal is the best wing woman you could have out there. She will, be the best bar buddy.
So moving on from, I guess, a little off of the politics talk a bit, but maybe it kind of falls in that realm. Have you guys seen the orange hat petrol guy?
No, I don't think so.
There's a picture. I don't do it like in a shared screen, but just Google orange hat petrol guy or orange hat gas station guy. This dude, I'll put in orange hat gas station guy, and he was at a petrol station, and he was filling. He was filling up. He was not filling up his car though, and he it was one of the wildest things. It's not showing up on Google. It showed up on TikTok, but it was people. I feel like there's some people that maybe shouldn't be allowed to vote. Like, okay, there's no. Does that become a slippery slope? And in that same breath, I feel like you should have politicians. Okay, these politicians are businessmen formerly, so they should be in charge of business. These politicians were once scientists. They can go there. Who are the best people in crypto that you would like to see in politics?
Crypto Rain.
No way. They would kick me out of politics. I say what's politically incorrect way too much. Whatever party I tried to associate with, like, they would go crazy on me. They're like, you can't say that, and be like, look, I just speak my mind.
I'm just for morality, so.
They would find out your secrets.
Yeah, they'd find those skeletons in the closet, I'd like to see who would be a good crypto person for politics. I'm not cut out for politics. It is so cutthroat. Like, if you think the music industry is cutthroat, or you think like Hollywood is cutthroat, like, try politics, right?
I'm actually going into it.
Try to do the right thing in politics.
Yeah, I'm actually going to probably go into it because I started realizing that the nation was broken a while back, and I'm like, well, we just need to start changing things on our local level. So I started off with I'm now the president of the board of the condo association. From there, I'll probably go for a council position after that. I'm in a township, so and just work my way up. But everyone wants to worry about who's the president, but we don't even know who the mayor is in our own towns, or or who's serving, or who's controlling all the money, and nobody talks to each other anymore, hardly. Everybody's online, and they just don't even know their own systems, and it's sad.
Yeah, well, and part of it's like sad, and part of it's good. Like, the system works so well, but they are like at the local level, there's like often a lot of corruption. There's a lot of money wasted, and you can make big impacts by fixing the system, and you can see your own economy grow, right? So you've seen some states really take off in the United States locally when you fix things. You see El Salvador taking off and blooming, because the truth is, one of the things that holds most countries back is corruption. And when you clean out the corruption, business just booms like crazy. So Like, I remember hearing the arguments like, oh, it's so unfair. The US has like so much resources and stuff and blah, blah, blah. Why aren't they shipping money down to Central America and South America? And that's so unfair. And I was like, well, it's because of the corruption. I mean, Central America and South America sit on so much natural resources, and they have a population who works super hard. It's just the corruption holding the whole thing back. If you went out and cleaned out the corruption, like as bad as the US, it's one of the most least corrupt countries in the world. That's not saying it's not corrupt. It is very corrupt. Yeah. It's just one of the least corrupt in the whole world. And that's why they have a disproportionate amount of resources, because what else does the US have other than some incentives aligned that if you bring good ideas to the marketplace, you can make it through to then make yourself rich on it. But every other country, you almost can't. You will be stamped out, and your idea will be stamped out by somebody over your head that's stopping you from doing that. And it's not that they don't try to do that in the US. They're just less successful than they are in all the rest of the countries of existing power, stamping out your good idea so that you can never make it and displace them. Yeah. And so that's why the US has become because it's not like it has more natural resources than other countries. It just has a system that allows innovation to develop, or has historically allowed more innovation to develop than every other country in the world. That could change in the coming 25 years if they don't wake up to like what Web3 is bringing. Is the next evolution of the internet, and the US misses out on this, and they're on track to miss out on this. 25 years from now, the US might not have the largest economy in the world.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was doing with the condo development. Is it was so corrupt. I had to overthrow the board and unfortunately get dictatorial, but at some point, once the system's running more smoothly, then I'm gonna hand it back to a board that can actually run it without, pouring concrete in their own patios on everybody else's expenses.
Exactly. That's well, I was watching Peaky Blinders. Love that series. After we finally got into it, my wife and I were trying to get into that. And I love what one of the people said is like, politics is the art of appropriating money from someone to give to someone else, which is really what it is, right?
Right.
And so what you're trying to do is control that corruption, because when I was in crypto in 2017, they're like, this place is so corrupt, we need to regulate it. And it's like, what do you think regulation's going to do? You think it's going to stop corruption from happening? Has it stopped corruption from being in the stock market? Has it stopped corruption from the bank regulators? Do you think they stopped these large banks from doing corrupt stuff? No, they work together on it. Like, it doesn't stop corruption. It just stops innovation tremendously, because unless you're really big and you can afford to co-opt the regulators, then you're not going to be allowed to grow. Now, in the early days, the regulatory agencies usually come in and do the right thing. They usually take a while to get as corrupt as they are. But after a while, then it's the upper echelons that really are in bed with those agencies, right? So the SEC and Goldman Sachs work hand in hand on things. And some could say it's just because they trust each other. That's part of it. That's how they justify it. But some of it is like, hey, you scratch our back while you're a regulator. When you're ready to move on, we'll hire you for really big amounts. So, help us know what you need to see for us to get approved. Whereas their small competitors don't have those kind of advantages.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Would you consider, the topic of the show, and BJN, we kind of covered this at the beginning, but let's go back to it because this is a big thing. Would you consider Blackpink a failure for VeVe?
I think it depends how you define success and how you define failure. If your standard in your measuring stick of whether it's a success or not is if it's sold out, then no. But is your standard of success a little more nuanced than that, saying, okay, well, what had to happen to make this drop? Well, we had to go and compete with a dozen or dozens of other companies that were willing to pay in the multiple eight figures for this license. One success, one victory was us actually getting the license. Two was getting not only YG Entertainment, which has 57 million followers on Instagram, but each of the band members that has minimum 77 million to 103 million followers, they had all advertised on it. Again, call me a Hulk from Avengers Endgame. I see this as an absolute win. You grossed 175,000 over on the drop itself, not including the secondary markets. And there was a lot of trading for people to go and craft those cards. So I think that's a pretty good win. And this is a day one of of 4 for the girls. Then you're going to have the crafting, the stages, the light stick. Yeah, I would say that's a win. In my book, that's a success. And now they could use that leverage. Hey, we have Blackpink. And that's the gift that keeps on giving.
You know, honestly, I was kind of happy it didn't sell out. I like to see things in the store now. And that's going to be important for new users when they come in and they see something in the store and then they see it in the market half the price. They're going to be like, I just got a deal. And they're going to pick it up. And eventually those prices rise until it's sold out of the store, you know, just like everything else. And then we start to see, you know, new users coming in that are excited because they got gains, just like, you know, when we buy crypto cheap. And I think the one thing I might actually buy from Blackpink is the stage. You know, that might be interesting for a lot of people because they can put anybody on there that they want to in the future, you know, when they're doing their little shows or whatever.
Be interesting to see if there's any interactivity there. I'm really curious to see how this comes together. I think Randy hit on it, that like having Blackpink is like the gift that keeps on giving, because now as they go to other, like they have a massive brand. And so as they go try to make other deals, they can now talk about this one, because before they couldn't necessarily say it. So now they can talk about it. And this is IP that they can use to help them get other IP. So it helps that they keep getting the top IP across the world. Did the launch go as well as like people hoped it would go? Well, as I was thinking about it the last couple of days, I was like, look, the crypto market is where it is, and digital collectibles, I'm not sure if it's going to, with these numbers, if it's going to sell out. And that depends on how many Blackpink fans really get in, they get a hold of this. But probably like the momentum isn't towards crypto yet. It will be later. What if this plays out kind of like when the VeVe app launched and they had this big license of, you know, Batman Black and White, and it was there and it was available. And you know what? Some people came in and bought some, were excited, but then it didn't sell out. And they're like, oh, completely disappointed and dispirited in the short term. Yet long term, they were massively right on whether it would be a success. They just had to wait a while. So is this going to be a success? I think so. I think in the coming year or two, these collectibles will probably do extremely well. I don't know for sure. I'm taking those odds because I bought some of the Venom cards, like the ones that you had to get by getting the 4 collectibles. I bought some of those, and I may just keep some of those instead of burning them. Yeah. And I bought the ultra rare, and I'm like, I'm glad that they got this IP. I think it brings a lot more credibility to the app. So I would say that was a massive success. I wasn't totally shocked to see that, you know, the commons and uncommons and even the rares didn't really sell out, just the ultra rare. The ultra rare sold out like right away, and like you could get one if you were lucky on a rebound, but the other ones didn't. That just goes with the down market. So I would say a really good success. The fudders won't see it as a success because even if it completely sold out, they would still be like, oh my gosh, you know, whatever they would find to complain about.
And the true success will we get some music out of it, you know, because they have been launching the music. That's a new platform for VeVe. So will Blackpink have a little bit of music come from this in some way, shape, or form? I don't know, but that'd be huge.
Well, it's not their only drop. There'll be more drops, and likely one of them will have some type of music.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the increased interactivity and see what they do with these. What do they call them? They're like augmented digital collectibles, or what's the name they use? What do they call them? Premium digital collectibles.
Premium.
Yeah, the word premium, because they can do things like, if you think of like the Darth Vader and like with the animations and stuff, like this is really cool in a 3D environment and even in an augmented reality environment. Like this is really cool, and it's set up to be possibly one of the coolest things in the coming years. Like my hope is that VeVe becomes the mainstay for digital collectors, where digital collectors go. And that battle is not won yet, though they're in first position and they continue to do some things that keep them in first position. I hope they go to, like, there were some points with baseball cards where it wasn't clear, was like Topps going to survive in the early days, right? And there were some bad decisions made where Topps almost didn't survive. And essentially they kind of became the card maker. So will VeVe end up being the digital collectibles thing as it goes worldwide? I hope so. They're making some good plays for it. if they do, then a lot of these early collectibles will be worth a fortune, and the OMI token will be worth a crap ton.
Big.
Yeah. And that's the bet I'm taking, like knowing that it could fail, but I don't see anyone else near as far ahead in this race compared to them.
I mean, so if we, I'll bring it back to Pokemon just because that's what I do. There's every time there's a big card that comes out, and you have PSA, you have Beckett, you have CGC, all fighting to be like, okay, let me grade it. Let me grade it, and they'll make like these promos of the card as like a 10 or a black label without even seeing the card. And with VeVe, it's like you don't have to do like on the last 1 of 1 they had, the Scotty Young 1 of 1 sold for like $8,400. David has that type of stuff every week, those 1 of 1s, those artworks, and you don't have that issue here with, okay, we have these 1 of 1 collectibles. Now who gets a chance to grade it? Like they're already all on VeVe and they don't depreciate. And this is something the collectors will really like. They'll because it's stressful. It's a pain to like, hey, if I send this, it's gonna get lost in the mail. Do I have to insure it for $50,000? And these you don't have to. It's so much, and they're already on VeVe. The one company that could get second closest altogether, I would say maybe like the Flow blockchain because they have everything, but as a single one entity company, I don't think anyone's really close to being second. They're all competing for a distant second.
Dirk Latte says something that's probably a lot of people are thinking this way. I thought the amount of marking this had, it would have done better, but the future price of these will be crazy, and wish we can time travel back here. Yeah, probably a lot of people thinking that same way. Saul G says throwing a VeVe name out there to more than 100 million people is not a failure. It's true, and it takes multiple exposures for things to really catch on. Like you didn't get started in crypto, none of us did the first time we heard about Bitcoin. It took like repeated exposure for us to say, okay, let me look into what that is. So VeVe going out to a whole bunch of people hearing it for the first time didn't necessarily grasp onto it and say, I got to figure out this digital collectibles thing. But it was not bad for them to get a solid exposure like that.
And this is just the beginning of their marketing. and David's like, wait till you see what I drop next month.
I know, right? And so like this, like just keep lining up the great IP and stuff, and VeVe will become the digital marketplace of the future with some of the best IP. And it's not that there won't be competitors out there. Like Topps was able to cement itself is one of the tops ones for forever. And that didn't mean there weren't other, market makers coming in, other companies coming in, but like VeVe's killing it. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
G Money says, once you need a set to get them to perform on the stage, it's game on. I hope there's something like that. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, gentlemen, it's been almost 2 hours. Been a fun chat. We covered everything from like Blackpink to like top VeVe app picks to OMI or VeVe, what appreciates more, to everything that would fix worldwide politics.
Yeah.
And we solve the issues of the world today.
And we're still friends.
Fix worldwide politics more than any other one issue. Term limits.
Yes.
Preach.
All right, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Any final words? Bill, thank you for coming on as a guest.
Thanks for having me. Yes. Love you guys, and we'll chat soon.
All right. We'll see y'all.
Meow, meow. And 3.